Buenos dias. Happy Tuesday. And I see no video. Mr. Thorstad. I don't see any video. Now. I told you we had to be on here early. Where's the video? It says go look at 30.
Hey, look at that.
Did you just scroll up?
Yeah.
Is that what you did?
Yeah.
Oh man. Every time.
Oh, shit.
I bet those of you who tune into this on a regular basis get a good kick out of us two trying to figure this.
These guys
out.
have no idea what they're doing.
Yeah. That is super funny.
Yeah, it is.
All right. So move this to my page. Good morning, everyone.
Hola.
What's up, Andrew? How are you? Consistency. I love it, sir. I love it. It's a beautiful thing.
Hey, hey. I can see you guys. Well, that's a good thing. Mr. Sanchez. Buenos dias. You almost done now?
Boom. Okay, we did it. It's a whole process.
It is. It's a production.
You said you were going to give me some of that.
Oh, yeah, taste that, dude.
You said, yeah.
That's great.
He's been raving about this juice that he's been making in the morning. So, this is the
Magical.
first. Let's see if it's all it's cracked up to be.
Dude.
Yeah, dude, I can get behind that. There's beet in there, right?
Yeah.
It's supposed to be good for the man's prostate.
Is
right?
it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's 2 beets, about 3 cucumber, a dozen carrots, a whole stalk of celery, 2 apples, fresh ginger. I think that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it makes a whole week. Like one of these times 5.
Love it. It's super important what we're putting into our physical. I had this conversation last night with somebody. I was out to dinner, and it was about how, mask up and wear all these masks and, hide from this thing. And there's not a lot of talk about improving the immune system. Where's that at?
That's not important.
Yeah, I'm confused.
Well, Big Pharma hasn't figured out a way to give us a pill for that yet.
Yeah.
So, it's not topical.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's all an agenda, right? Mm-hmm. Good morning, beautiful humans.
Morning.
Again, just so much appreciation for your guys' consistency. As always, each and every one of us, although you and I are the only ones talking, we're all the teacher, the student, and the material. And, we all have our own contexts in the things that we are going through. And so if there's something that you feel you want to have addressed, we are totally happy to deep dive. Today, I wanted to talk about, and for those who are not getting our emails, go to theagentevolution.com and plug in your info, and you'll get updated as to all the events and kind of topics and all of that stuff. Go check your inbox, and if it's in junk, add us to safe senders.
So just to dovetail on that, ladies and gentlemen, our intention is to have this like an open forum while we're talking, right? Since this isn't Zoom, we can't hear you. Put some comments in. This is to be interactive. We're not just up here to hear ourselves talk. Oh, look at that. We got to scroll down. What's in the juice? Covered that. I want some. You do.
Yeah, Andrew, bring it. Give me the Rona. I'm not scared.
Facts. Big facts.
Yeah.
What's the facts?
Love it.
Cool.
So, vision.
Yeah. Well, I loved your email, first of all. I just thought it was so articulate and spot on. Why should I have a vision?
Yeah. Well, my observation in doing this work is that, we've got right now the outside world begging for our attention. we are absorbing the vibrations through our five senses, right? We're seeing the fear all over the place. I've seen so much division lately, it's ridiculous. And, the idea is that when we do have something we want to bring into the world, we have a direction. We can then feed energy into that. And what happens is when we feed energy consistently into that direction, those other things seem to fall by the wayside. And, in a world that's really competing to have you feel the fear, a vision is one of those things that absolutely helps. And I realized how many people really still lack the clarity on what they want to accomplish in the world.
Yeah, yeah.
What's your thoughts on that? What's your experience?
Totally. Well, first and foremost, I want to go back to to have that vision, that point B of that's who I desire to be, what I desire to do, and what I desire to have. Where are you without that? Where do you feed your energy? Where do you invest it? What are you paying attention to? Mm-hmm. And likely it's just whatever the hell is going on, in your news feed on Facebook or Instagram or the news or your friends. And I'm not saying that's necessarily bad. I'm not saying it's wrong. What I am saying is, what are you paying attention to? What are you doing with your life? Versus having that clearly defined point B and just investing everything you got into it. Mm-hmm. For me, my experience with doing that is I feel alive. Yeah. I feel purposeful. I assign meaning to something, which means I want to get out of bed in the morning. I want to show up. Yeah. I'm happier, healthier, vibrant, enthusiastic. Mm-hmm. And isn't that contagious? Don't you want to be around people that are excited and have a zest for life? And you know what I mean? They're going places and doing things, and they're just fun to be around.
Yeah, I think that's the idea of moving from spectator to creator. It's that spectator is this concept of life is just happening, and you're just kind of sitting on the sidelines watching it all happen and transpire. And the creator is the one who has a vision. So here's life as it exists now, and here is clarity for what I desire to experience in this incarnation. Mm-hmm. And by getting clear on that, then we get to then sit in the screen of the mind and experience those things, and then that's when the universe conspires to start helping us.
Totally. Morning, Samantha. And so the other thing about it, you just said it. So, when we talk about vision, I think a lot of people instantly go to, okay, well, clear intention. What does that look like? And that's totally important. We've been over this, I don't know how many dozens or thousands of times, everything's created twice. Once in imagination, and if you can hold it there long enough, you'll hold it in your hand, right? So a clear intention, a clear picture of what that looks like. But the other piece of this that kind of gives it the fuel to make it made manifest is the elevated emotions associated and attached to that clear intention. Mm-hmm. So for example, so Linda, good point. What are you paying attention to, right? So not only what are you thinking about, but what are you feeling moment by moment? Mm-hmm. Are you feeling the doubt, the worry, the fear, the anxiety about the stuff from yesterday? Mm-hmm. And you're just choosing to carry that BS forward into today. And now this is what's going to consume me and I'm going to pay attention to. Or is it, no. I desire to feel some elevated emotions like love, joy, happiness, abundance. And I'm going to associate those elevated emotions with my clear intention, marrying those two together. Talk about a powerful force.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
And so here's the deal, like Dr. Joe Dispenza says, if you're not using your mind as a roadmap to your future, then you're going to use the brain as an artifact, and it's just a record of the past. So what do you think you're going to keep reproducing every single day? More of the past.
Was that the idea of, what was the movie, Groundhog's Day?
Groundhog's Day.
It's the same day it was yesterday, nothing has changed. So, when we're intentionally feeding energy,
Intention.
that's when we get to start having a new experience.
Yes.
And, I say with this whole process, it's a lot of work, in my opinion, to try and say, well, here's 8 different facets of my life that I want to change. I think it's more efficient if we pick one area of our lives that we really desire to experience it bigger and more beautiful and more harmonious. And when we can really sit with that and write it out, and we're so clear and black and white on what we want that to look like, then we can continuously feed energy into that vision. What's going to happen is that process of bringing thought into form, we strengthen that entire pattern within the body. So versus saying, well, here's I want more friends, and I want to have a better relationship with my lover, and my kids, and my business, and my health, and all of these things, and attempting to try to create visions for all of that simultaneously and feed all the energy into. I don't find that super efficient.
No.
It's a way, but I feel that if we have just one area, and then we use this whole process to kind of strengthen it within our physical container.
Brilliant point.
Yeah.
Brilliant point. So it's focused attention on one facet first. So, for example, Samantha, I hear you. Like, how many people have been in limbo about a decision, right? Do I do this or do I do that? So, talking about the facet being, okay, so just based on what I can understand from what you typed there, two things you're trying to decide upon right now. You don't want to be miserable. So you could say, I just desire to be happy, right? Let's focus on where we're going, not on what we don't want. And I do not want to be that person just working just to have what the neighbors have. Yeah, cool. Okay, so could we say then you're kind of looking for some purpose and meaning? And so if we take that facet of your life, let's say your vocation, your passion, instead of working for money, could we say, this is what I desire to do with all my waking hours? Like, this is what I assign meaning, significance, and purpose to. Now, let me find a way to monetize that. So I get to show up, and I get to be my perfect self-expression, and I get to do what I want to do. And then when I figure out how to monetize that, I'll get to have what I want to have. So the only decision to make, then, is what thing am I abundantly passionate about? What is the topic to where when I'm in that space, I lose all track of time and space? You know what I mean? Like, I remember when I started learning about real estate investing, rewind the tape, 15 years ago, more actually. Like, I would sit in a seminar or read a book or talk to another investor that was successful and run numbers, and I would just lose all track of time. Like, I would just geek out on it, and I loved it, right? So, but it doesn't pay the bills until you take action. Right? But the monetizing piece of this comes secondary. First is, where's your lane? Like, what's your path? Where's your space? Because no path has any inherent significance or meaning. You assign it. So that's one facet. And then when you've got this facet called your path, and you get to show up every single day, and you find a way to monetize it, like, you are just unfucking stoppable. And now watch how that energy is going to just spill over, seep over into your physical well-being, into your relationship, not only with yourself, but with your honey, or your kids, or your friends.
Yeah.
And it just starts growing. So start with one facet first. Because if you look at all of them, you can be like, oh, damn, this is overwhelming. Where do I start? What do I do first? And it's almost defeating before you even get into action.
Yeah. Backing you up there, you talk about the amount of energy that we put into something like that. When we find something that really lights us up, and we are not doing it to achieve another thing, we're just doing it to do the thing, the amount of love and energy that we carry forth into that, the byproduct of that would eventually be the monetization piece of it. Like, for example, one of the things that I do every day that I will still do whether I ever got paid doing it, would be meditation. I have a practice that I'm just in love with, perhaps addicted to it. I'm addicted to getting high off of my own supply. And, could that eventually be monetized? Certainly. And, but I'm not attached to it because I don't need anything from it.
See, that is it right there, ladies and gentlemen. I'm so glad this is live and recorded. It's that right there. I find, because I was doing this myself in the beginning of a lot of things, it was always monetize to get money, right? Which then became like the whole goal. Instead of, how do I just show up, man, and get high on my own supply and be me and have fun?
Yeah.
Because then that's always the focus. Like I always just to get to go be. And because of that, I want to show up. So it's who's showing up to the party more than it is the strategy. So if I've created this dynamic, this life where I just get to show up and have fun and be me, and oh, by the way, it earns me money, like,
Yeah.
hashtag winning.
Yeah. Well, Vishen Lakhiani talked about the difference between having means goals and end goals. So carrying this forth into vision, which is our topic today, is, are you doing a thing because you want to have another thing? Or are you doing the thing because you want to do a thing? Let me give you an example. I built a sizable mortgage practice. It printed massive paychecks on a very consistent basis. And I was doing a thing because I wanted to have enough money in the bank so that one day I could do another thing called be free. And then I had a series of profound spiritual experiences that really rocked me. And I said, whoa, what am I doing this for? It was great to have money and not have to make decisions based on it, but it was so hollow. I still wasn't full of love.
Yeah.
And so I had to step back from it and figure out, what could I do? What do I really want to experience in the world? And then when I started to shift towards that, everything else, money and the right people, was all a byproduct of just staying in that vibration. So as you create a vision, ask yourself, am I doing this to achieve some other end? Am I doing this because it's a means to an end? Or am I doing this because this in and of itself is the end goal? I think Vishen's context in his story around this is he said, I wanted to travel to exotic destinations all around the world. I wanted to stay in fancy hotels. And I wanted to have high vibe conversations with powerful people. And then all of a sudden, A-Fest was birthed as a byproduct of it. And he was having these conventions all over the world in beautiful places, having high vibe conversations in exotic destinations. And the byproduct was a massive amount of money.
Yeah.
He wasn't doing this thing so that he could eventually have a thing. He was doing it because this in and of itself is the end. So I think it's incredibly important for us to think about our visions for what we want to experience. And it has to be the end in and of itself. And when we sit in this space on a regular basis, the universe starts to conspire to help us. Our limited human brains would sit there and say, oh, well, there's no way of doing this, or what does the how look like, or what is the first step? That is not your job to know. The universe has ways that you know not of. Your job is to hold in mind the wish fulfilled, that end vision, and let go of all attachment for it to unfold a certain way. So,
if any of you 25 think that what Mr. Haynes so brilliantly stated is a bunch of like woo-woo hippie bullshit, let me just put this into some real life context. So, you and I were at an event maybe, like 4 years ago now, up at the ranch, right? Remember that lady, what's her name, with the guap, game worth playing exercise? We wrote out what's our game worth playing, right? So I wrote out to build a large organization that empowers others to experience a life of liberty. And that's just what came out of me during this exercise. I wrote it on a big piece of paper. Do you know that piece of paper is still hung on the wall in my main office. And surprise.
Really?
And so, that came out of me. I was like, large organization. Well, what the hell would I do? Like, I'm in real estate, and I really like that. And I love coaching people. Oh, I know. I'll start a brokerage. And the premise is of coaching people on mindset. Because we all pretty much know how to go generate money in real estate. Do open houses, call people, build a database, da-da-da-da. It's all the same stuff. Like, there's no secret magic formula to being successful in real estate as far as the doingness, the strategy goes. Right? So what I do? Just started bringing in people. And the goal was to just be with, coach, serve, support. And now here we are 2.5 years later, and getting ready to open an 8th office, and things are just unfolding.
Yeah. But had you sat there and gotten clouded up in your mind about what does the first step look like,
How
and
do
I
I
need to
do it?
see all the steps laid out first before I even take the first step, it's like sit with that end vision and become receptive and aware in your life. And the universe highlights the first step for you.
So, and that's exactly what happened, right? So, with your support and assistance and education of visualization, meditation, and breath work, I started my morning practice. And I sat with it and sat with it and sat with it. I was going through a divorce. And then I sat with the end vision of this brokerage and all these beautiful people and this culture, this family environment, and everybody growing together. And it was like, oh, God, it feels so good. Never thought about the money aspect of it. Just why did I want to wake up in the morning? What did I want to be about? What did I want to do? And to have fun and just live life and have a zest for that life. And through my gratitude, through my meditation, through my breath work, all of a sudden, phone rings one day. And it's some dude I've never met saying, I heard you're looking to start a real estate brokerage, and I want to talk with you about that. And I didn't know how. I didn't know the first steps. But that phone call is what triggered a series of events for the brokerage to come to life and turn into what it is today.
Okay, so what I heard you saying is step number 7 on your list wasn't have some random dude call me and partner with me.
Yeah, that was not on my to-do list.
Yeah,
No.
right?
Yeah.
And so back to the universe has ways that you know not of. When we are putting our energy into something, quantum physics would say that we are putting a broadcast out to the world. And somebody else that is in alignment with that can pick that up and receive it. And we're put together to co-create.
Yeah.
But the idea is to just hold that end image in your mind long enough and then be receptive.
Yeah. But here's the catch. Here's why I'm successful with this formula and most people are not. Ready? All 31? Oh, no, 27? Okay, you're going to miss a secret. People just left. I have this deep-rooted limiting belief, this negative self-image, that I'm not smart. So I've learned now that I love this story that I've made up since a child. And I'm going to keep this story because it serves me really well. Although you could look at it as negative. Since I believe and I feel that I'm not smart enough to figure it out and have a plan or strategy, I just say, F it. Let it unfold. Because I'm not smart to figure it out anyways. So I'm like, well, then it's not my job to know how.
It gets you out of the way.
Watch me go.
Yeah.
It gets me out of my own damn way, and I let it unfold. It's like, People are like, how'd you do that? I'm like, does it really matter how? Does it really matter?
No.
Because you think you're going to model that? My success, the cause of success was not the strategy. Well, maybe it was, because my strategy was don't have a strategy. My strategy is clear intention, married with an elevated emotion, and I sit with it every single day. Nobody has to tell me to do this. I want to. I want to experience that end result as if it's here now. Because the crowning achievement of being a human being is the prefrontal cortex. We're the only species that we know of that can make thought more real than an experience. So what do you want to experience every single day? The same old BS and stress and anxiety of yesterday? Or the doubt and the worry and the fear of what could happen tomorrow? Or if I'm an intentional, responsible, powerful creator, let me sit with the end result that I desire as if it's here now. I mean, what the hell else would be so important and worth your time? Energy, effort, attention.
Yeah. That intention is how you break free from what society wants you to feel.
Thank you for saying that, because I do want to go back. So, Linda, if you're still here, with everything going on, harder now to focus on intentions. My dear, if you say so, because I believe that with everything going on now, which by the way is just an external circumstance and condition, you don't have to identify with it, wouldn't now be more of a vital time to pay attention to the inner world, my state of being? And I think it just, with everything going on outside of us, is really just mirroring back to, okay, how do I take care of I first so that I could be fit for service, so that I may be of service to others around me? So for me, this time makes it abundantly easy to go within, because now, in this time, nothing could matter more. And so, Mr. Sansky, I love that you're focusing on the inner joy and happiness, because let's be real, ladies and gentlemen. Are you telling me that if I finally get my goals, then I will feel joy and happy? Have you ever accomplished something that you really set your mind to? You got it, and you're like, yay! And then 15 minutes later, you're like, what's next? Like, it just leaves you. It's like this bottomless pit that you can't fill with external things. So,
That's
joy.
beingness before the doingness.
So
No.
joy, love, abundance, happiness comes from within. It arises, but you invoke it.
Yeah.
Not because of anything out there.
So I actually resonate a little bit with what Linda is saying about, the outer world is heavy and fear is an addictive emotion, speaking from I. And going down that rabbit hole, it's easy for me to allow my vibration to drop significantly with what is going on in the world. However, I have the awareness that when I am feeling this way, I know that I am disconnected from my higher self. I am disconnected from what I am here to be doing.
So if you...
It's a reminder.
If you pay attention to how you're feeling, that tells you what you're thinking?
Yeah. When I'm feeling funky, looking at this child trafficking stuff or whatever, I know that it's time for me to get back into my heart space. And then I'm intentional with what I'm directing my energy into. And I can tell you that if each one of us is broadcasting a frequency into the collective, we are not doing the world any good if we are sitting in our own depressions.
Yeah.
We are just calling forth more of that. Our job is to break our hearts wide open in the face of all of this heaviness and shine our lights bright, because that's how we shift things. If we all of a sudden all dropped into this deep fear vibration, we would create much more than what we're experiencing right now.
Totally. So I just want to tie into something, because I was telling my story about the brokerage and all of that. People often ask me, what does libertas mean? Well, it's Latin for liberty. Well, liberty from what? It could be something like a surface truth, something simple like the liberty to no longer make choices in life based off of time or money. That's a form of liberty. And so again, my initial vision was to create a large organization that empowers others to experience a life of liberty. But here's the liberty I'm talking about. How about the liberty from that obnoxious roommate who gives you advice that you identify with, that you love sometimes, hate other times, and take its advice? What about liberty from those lower parts of your psyche, those insufficiencies of your ego? How about liberty from that? How about releasing all these anchors so that you naturally transcend?
Yeah.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, could you create an abundance of money, an abundance of loving relationships, an abundance of health, an abundance of vitality? So it's liberty from your own shit,
Yeah.
to say the in a simplistic manner.
Yeah. We must all free ourselves from our self-imposed prison. And we were all raised with limitation and fear. And so as we move about, our job is to continue to release those limitations and step more fully into our fullest expression, our deepest desire
Yeah.
that we have. But in this whole vision idea, I see people write out a vision and it's based on what they think they can get based on their programming of limitation. But it's not true choice, because true choice would be all of it. And so they sit out and they say, well, this is good enough because, this is what I think I can get.
Yeah. What I think I can have.
Yeah.
But and here's the deal, ladies and gentlemen. Like, for example, like when you go to coach a private client or a loan officer on your team or anybody, and the same for me with agents and private clients that I coach, like it starts with what's your vision, right? Because as a coach, like our job is to draw that out of you. Like what is point B? Like where the hell are we going? Why are we here coaching together? What do you want? Right? Okay, and then so typically what's the vision? Well, I want to earn this much money. Why? Well, I want to buy this house, this car, these vacations. Awesome. That's fantastic. But that is a rough draft. And here's why. We start with a vision on what you want to have that you've never had, because you think that when you get it, you're going to feel a certain way. Now, I know Mr. Hanks because we've had this conversation in private and publicly. Like you built a large mortgage business, making boatloads of money, doing really cool stuff with the money, having great experiences, right? But at the end of the day, were you fulfilled? Were you abundant?
No.
So what we're saying is, what we've learned through this process is start somewhere, anywhere, point A, and define a point B. But if you really sit down and think about it, if you write out what you want, and then ask the next question, why do I want that thing? What do I think it's going to give me? How do I think I'm going to feel when I get it? Because it's all bullshit. But it's a great place to start. It's better than saying, oh, screw it, I don't even know how to get this done or what to really do, so I'm not even going to try. So I'm just going to stay the same. Well, that's brilliant. You might as well start with a really shitty rough draft, because you can always improve from there. You can always elevate from there.
Yeah.
But if you never get started, ladies and gentlemen, you'll always be where you've always been. You'll always be who you've always been. You'll always do what you've always done, and you'll always have what you've always had. So just get started. Take a step. And as Linda said, like, surround yourself with some mentors, some coaches on the mindset. Stop worrying so much about the external strategy, the how. Let that shit unfold. It's not your job to know how to accomplish it. Your job is to clearly define point B. Clear intention matched with an elevated emotion. That's your job.
Yeah. And Danica, yeah, the pit. That's a good, I like that word, the pit. It's so easy in this environment to find ourselves in that space. And again, the way out of it is to back into the practice and to feed energy into the experiences that we really desire to have. For those of you feeling the vibe of this conversation, start a watch party. Let's elevate some more people. Where do we go from here? So, vision, we must get clear. My wish is for all of you to do a quick little internal assessment of where you desire to experience some more increase. And in that space, start to get clear. And maybe this is a homework that you can take, an actionable step after we get done here, of start writing out what that end result looks, feels, smells like get clear on that, and then ask the question, am I writing this from a space of limitation? Am I writing this from a place of, this is what I think I can get? Or are you writing it from true choice? This is what I really, truly desire to experience. And then when you can sit with that vision on a regular basis, you will start to manifest that.
Yeah,
With someone knocking on the front door here.
Yeah.
Good old Amazon Prime. I was caught.
So the really biggest thing for me was not writing out the vision. Like that seemed to go relatively simple, especially when you get started. If you just start, you'd be amazed at like what flows out of you. Like it's a really beautiful process. For me, the time-consuming piece was taking that vision that seemed like, okay, am I writing this out because that's what I really want, or because that's what I think I can have? Well, it's what I think I can have. Okay, so what would like playing a big game look like? Like, okay. But now it's on a pedestal and it's so far out of reach. So as Linda said, meditate like crazy, right? It's writing out the gratitude, to sit with it and feel what it would feel like for it to be here, to be in a state of thank you for receiving it, to meditate, to feel it and bring it into my physiology like, oh, it's here, I can't believe it, it's done, and it feels so amazing. It's get it off that pedestal and bring it down into like reality, that it fits. And it fits because I have experienced the end result as if it's here now so many hundreds of times.
Okay.
So I'm in alignment with it.
Yeah. So the vision is what you're saying is the havingness, the end result, and then it's to look at who do I need to be,
Yes.
and would you be elevated? Would you be happy? Would you feel abundant? Would you be filled with joy? And then continue to cultivate that feeling. And that's how we become magnetic.
Totally. So I totally forgot to share this with you this morning. So that guy that I saw last week for that mental emotional release, at the end of this 3-day therapy, there was an exercise, some homework that he gave me. And it was to write your own eulogy.
Oh.
From like the perspective of your honey, your kids, your closest friends, and your colleagues, clients, associates, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, those are the categories that I did anyways, right? And so I thought, man, that's going to take a little while. And I had my phone, my iPhone, and I just hit the microphone so I could talk into it. Because I'm not one for typing out. So I just started talking. And I got the whole thing done like that.
Wow.
And my rough draft was my final draft.
Wow.
Like it just flowed out. And so when I had my next session follow-up with him, he's like, did you do your eulogy? I'm like, yeah. He's like, do you mind sharing it? It's like, sure. And so he closed his eyes so there was no sensory input and he can just be with it. And when I got done and he opened his eyes, he was crying. And I was like, I even got teared up a little bit, right? And I was like, whoa, that moved him. And I was like fighting back to tears. But here was the interesting thing, and I'm not doing this to toot my horn, I'm getting to a point with this. He said, you know what I loved about it? Is everything you said from each one of those people in your life that would be speaking about you. You only mentioned how you showed up in their lives and made them feel. You said nothing about what you accomplished or how much money you made or any of that stuff, which is fine if you do, by the way. I'm not making it wrong. But the point is, what came out of me, unconsciously, was the people that I loved the most, my tribe, whether it's, your kids, friends, honey, all of it. They all talked about the impact I made in their lives and how I made them feel. And that was eye-opening for me because if I would have done that 5 years ago, it would not have looked like that. It would have been, Justin accomplished this, and he made that much money, and da-da-da-da. And again, not that that's wrong, but it was really eye-opening to see that internal shift in me that this is what my life is about. And so if you know what you're about, why not make your vision that, right? Like part of your vision can be, I jump out of bed in the morning before the alarm clock with like excitement and happiness and joy and love in my heart because I get to go be this person.
Yeah, I think that everybody we encounter in this existence should have a feeling of increase, having experienced our presence. And when we start cultivating that space, things just begin to happen. It no longer has to be moving through the world with force. It becomes power, and we become magnetic and attracted to us.
Yeah. So when I read my eulogy and we had that conversation, he's like, great, now if you really want to elevate yourself, why don't you read that in your morning ritual? Because now I have a clear intention, mentally and emotionally, on how I desire to be today. Let me go be that man. Let me go be that person. So now I just set my intention for the day. I know what I'm focusing on, and I know how I want to feel. Like my state of beingness is exactly what I consciously intended to create.
Love that. Yeah, Samantha, that's just the past programming, right? This is just the limitation that had gotten installed, and maybe in an effort to continually cultivate awareness, maybe you name it. Let's call her Limiting Linda. And when Limiting Linda shows up to the party, you say, hey girl, I'm not really trying to hang out with you today. So you can just be on your way.
But thanks for showing up today.
Yeah. It's cool. Like, I appreciate your consistency and all, but like, I'm just not really feeling it today.
I'm gonna go this way today.
Yeah. So give it a name, acknowledge it. And what happens is you are starting to extricate yourself from that programming.
So beautiful.
Yeah, you're giving it a persona and acknowledging when it shows up. And what you're having right now is an experience and an awareness of that showing up. So back to the vision piece. Don't think about what you can get based on your programming with Limited Linda. Go for a space of true choice. Like, this is what I desire to experience. And let go of everything else that would stop you. And let go of your attachment and need to have all of the steps laid out in front of you. And then elevate your state of beingness to match that vision. Yes.
Yeah, Linda. Okay. I want to hit. I was waiting for you to finish before I said this. So, Linda, you're totally right. Like, F Limited Linda, right? But here's the deal, Samantha. This is super, super important. This took me a long time to learn, but when I learned it, my progress, my internal state, transcended, elevated so much faster. And it's this. So when you realize that you're sabotaging yourself and fear is taken over, my initial reaction was, damn it, Justin, see, like, you still got so much work to do, and that little voice, and then, like, fighting it. Have you ever yelled at it? Samantha, have you ever yelled at that little inner bitch and been like, shut up? And what happens? She goes away? No. Quite the opposite. In fact, she gets a little louder, a little more annoying, right? So here's the deal.
That's what you resist persists.
Yes, Newton's third law of physics still applies. And it doesn't say what you resist persists. That's what we say. Because for every action, like fighting the inner roommate, resisting the inner roommate, will be met with an equal but opposite reaction. That's why what you resist persists, because you're feeding it energy by paying your attention to it. Energy flows where attention goes. So the more you focus on Limited Linda and you fight with her, you're ensuring her survival. So, as Mr. Haynes so beautifully...
Linda, listen!
Listen, Linda. Linda. Give him a cookie. Where the hell was I?
Just don't have time and space for you today, girl.
So, can you meet Limited Linda with kill that bitch with cookie? Yes! Like, hating Linda does not oppress her and make her go away. Hating Linda, like, makes her more alive and vibrant. So you got to kill that off with love. Hey, Linda, thanks for showing up. I feel the fear. Thank you. Appreciate the reminder. Thank you for that gift today. However, I'm going this path today called courageous. I'm going to feel that fear and I'm going to do it anyways. Yeah. Why? Because I got a vision and I'm matching it with elevated emotions. Yeah. Like love, like excitement, enthusiasm, creation.
I love that. So can we all today assess where our limitation shows up and give it a name? And start to extricate yourself from that old programming and say, not today, limitation.
Every day, I yell at her. Oh,
Cool. Love
yeah,
that. I'm going
right
to
on,
practice
Macy.
for that. That's
Yeah.
great. Yeah, it's right. We're programmed by our environment and caretakers, and my parents, they were doing the best they could with what they knew, right? And it's our space to continue to elevate. And I look at my two kids and some of the things that they've got some wonderful programming, and then they got some spaces where I could tell Dad still needed a little bit of work.
You and me both.
Yeah. And it's we came in here, we took a body because we desired to learn lessons. And it's not about what our vocation is, what we do to earn a paycheck, but it's about being the light everywhere we go. And being the light is releasing that limitation. Being the light is having a vision that's so beautiful and sexy and contributing to humanity. And then we elevate our state of being to match that. Like, that's our contribution to the planet. If we wanted to heal the world, we could do that like tomorrow. If every single person, instead of going out and spreading more hate in these violent protests, if everybody just went home and learned how to address their own wounds and traumas, everybody would start to show up a little bit more light. Like, we don't need to go, create a mass crowd of people and blow up police buildings and whatnot. Like, I get it. The world's got some crazy stuff, and they're certainly making a statement. But if we all went home and worked on our own stuff, at all 7.8 billion of us, we'd have world peace in no time.
You know what? I'm going to say this because it's topical now. So yesterday I was meeting with a gentleman, an agent, talking about libertas and the opportunity. And his last question of our interaction was, what do you think about BLM? And I'm so glad that a couple days ago somebody used that term. I'm like, what's BLM? I didn't realize it was an acronym, right? Other than Bureau of Land Management.
That's kind of where I would have went with
yeah, BLM. That's what I know. And it's Black Lives Matter. And he said, I'm going to throw you a curveball. And I hope he's watching. He said, I'm going to throw you a curveball. What do you think about BLM? And I said, I'm not black, so I cannot say that I've experienced what it means to be a black person. Like, I've never experienced someone being racist towards me. And I know that exists. I'm not blind, but I don't know what it feels like. So I'll say this. BLM, this is my opinion. You can send me hate mail later. BLM or anything else, all these movements. Well, I think there's value because it brings awareness to it. Like, what if we all just realized that we're all one, that we are all connected? Would we need movements? Would we just finally get to the point where we realize that we can all coexist as one in love? Like, to hate your neighbor is nothing more than to hate yourself. Like, if you loved yourself completely, how would you have any other emotion for any other human being out there? If you realize we were all connected, would you take care of, respect, and love yourself so that you can respect and love your neighbor? Like, we would get to the point where we wouldn't need movements because we would already be. So that's my take on the BLM.
Yeah.
Like, why don't we just love ourselves completely so that all we have is love and we can love one another? We wouldn't need movements for awareness because we'd already be awoke.
Yeah.
That's my opinion on the matter anyways.
A few layers deeper, it's just the divine experiencing itself in 7.8 billion unique expressions. And so, a lot of what we experience in the world is rooted in separateness. It's us versus them. And we got to fight to survive because the world is a scary place and there's not an abundance of resources, so we must compete for it.
And if that wasn't evil enough for that lack and scarcity, like you look at the Western culture, Americans, consumerism, What's that all about? Well, go get this so that you can look like that and get approval of others and love and connection. And it's bullshit. It's a unhealthy, toxic construct. It's a model. And I just wish more people would wake up and step into their own divinity.
Certainly. Well, if we have a population that's slightly mentally ill and not feeling worthy, and then we create propaganda that says you will feel so much more worthy if you buy X, you can see how this continues to kind of perpetuate this. And those that have engineered the game extract the vitality from the culture. And, that's kind of what we've experienced. Our future is in the education of children. And, if we, put teachers through like psychology training and teach them how to instill growth mindset in our children, and we started turning out kids instead of figuring out like who's got the highest algebra score, we could start learning how to have whole beings, people that are emotionally healthy. We would start to change the landscape completely. And so how do we lead our children? It starts with I. We all have to take ourselves on and show up as more light, closer to our true nature, what we are. And I believe passionately about this, as I got the kind of download on what the school was going to do for my 8-year-old. And, I started thinking, I'm big into the programming aspect of it. And they said, well, the kids are going to sit in a classroom and wear their masks and all day, and they're going to sit 6 feet apart and all of these things. And I'm like, man, this isn't really the experience that I desire to have for my kid. In his life. And what other traumas are we installing with this whole deal was where I went with it. And we said, this is my opportunity to step away from the establishment a bit. And we had a group of people come together and some teachers, and we are in the process of forming an alternative school in which we have an influence upon the curriculum, and some other beautiful parents who are all like, yeah, forget this. Like, we're not serving our children to the degree in which we could be. And so now we're in the process of creating a school that kind of stemmed from this. So this is how we change the world. We don't fight the existing reality. We create a new model in which everybody's like, man, that is way the hell better. Yeah. Like, let's go hang out over here. We don't try to go fight this thing over here. We just use our inherent intelligence, our inherent light, and we produce something more beautiful. And then it catches on, because if we're feeling this, a lot of other people are also in that space. And that's what we got when I posted about this whole idea behind school. Is a lot of people are like, whoa, I want to know all about that. Like, this is in the collective. And so this is how we change. It's not, let's go blow up the police buildings. Like, let's create a new society. And let's create pockets of that. And people are going to start to see, like, this is better.
So what you're saying is, since we are creators, instead of going and, like, retrofitting and renovating something that we know is busted, like, let's just go create something new.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Updated.
And what's been the process of how we go and how we've historically created change? I mean, it's feeding more hate.
War on something.
Yeah, and that just creates more of it. That's not our job. Our job is just to engineer something more beautiful and more brilliant. And then it catches on, and people say, hey, you know what? Like, I'm questioning a lot of the things that were previously provided by government. And it's like, we have all the answers as the people.
Yeah.
What do I trust? I trust the people.
Totally. So I think this is all coming full circle. So what you're saying is, when we see there's a problem, like, see a need, fill a need. And so instead of fighting or resisting or being war on it or anti it, you never change reality by fighting with the existing model. Yeah. You just make a new model that makes the old one obsolete. So, like, let's go feed into this. Let's go use our energy to move towards what we do want. Oh, wait, that's called a vision.
Yeah.
instead of investing our energy to move away from what we don't want.
Yeah.
That's negative in nature. It's less than. So if we want to be powerful, we want to be creators, go towards what we do want. That's the vision.
I love that.
And when you get a hold of a vision, or I should say, spoiler alert for those of you who actually do this exercise, when a vision gets a hold of you, like it won't require more energy because your heart will be busted open and all that energy, that infinite source, will be released. And don't you know, when you're living that path, the consumerism, the movements, the separateness, all of that starts to melt away because you have nothing but joy, love, and abundance that arises from within, and as within, so without. Welcome to your life.
Yeah. What a beautiful time for us to be engineering a new world.
And yet we would not have done this. We would not be having these conversations to this degree and with this intensity had this whole situation not unfolded for us.
Yeah, Cecilia, it was really good to meet you in person. I'm glad you are on board with what we are doing, and I can say that continuing to invest energy in this school that we are co-creating is going to catch on, and more people are going to start to step into this. So it's good to be with you on all of that.
Nice. That's beautiful.
And yeah, Linda, one of the shows that I really like that Down to Earth with Zac Efron, and I think that he really exposes how some other cultures do things, and the Western mind is like, oh yeah, we're America and we got it all figured out, we're the superior ones, and while we have a lot of amazing amenities, we're a fish in water. We don't actually know what the rest of the world is doing. And the rest of the world has wonderful things that they're up to that we should totally be implementing as a society. So when we can let go of our ego and this need to be right and be open to other ideas, that's when things are really going to start to change.
Wow, Samantha. I believe that's something that should be in our curriculum. And I know Mr. Haynes and all the people, your tribe creating that'll be one. Like, it's so powerful.
Yeah.
Give the kids an opportunity to ground themselves, take control over their own emotional state through yoga and breath work. And could you imagine what this world would be like? With just one generation, we made that adjustment.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're into breath, there's a wonderful book that was just written by James Nestor called Breath, The New Science of a Lost Art or something like that. Amazing. Oh, it's one of the best books that I've ever heard really breaking down breath. And that's exactly it. When they're frustrated and we are not breathing, we are choking off spirit. And so when we can really learn to breathe spirit fully into our physical being, we become more calm and connected, and we make better decisions, and we show up more loving. Anytime we're in a heated, tension-filled interaction with somebody or something, connecting back to the breath, long, slow in and exhales, will help us all show up better.
Well, think about it. So in your breath work, right? If you allow yourself throughout the day to get triggered, do not be mindful. Maybe your vibes just low because, I had a heavy meal really late at night and I had a couple glasses of wine, whatever it is. I deliberately lowered my vibration. And I wake up the next morning, my morning ritual is not quite 100% because I'm not. And then throughout the day, some events or situations, circumstances can happen to trigger you, right? You're so high beta brainwave, do you hear intuition? Do you hear that higher self voice speaking to you? Yeah. Or is it more just that inner roommate getting louder and louder? So through breath work, through meditation, to bring that down and listen to the voice that really matters. Connect to your higher self and listen. Breath work to relax, calm.
Yeah, breathe it into your physical system. Repeat aloud, I am always the answer. How is this here to teach me? And that's when we begin to elevate. All experience is our teacher. What is the lens in which you perceive that experience? Is it the lens of the victim? Life is happening to me, and why are things so difficult? And then we get to experience more of that. But when we can flip the script and say, how is this happening for me? You begin to notice that the universe is conspiring to help us grow.
Moment by moment.
Yeah. And we don't always, speaking from don't always get the lesson right up front. However, when I sit with it for an extended period of time, I generally always come back to my answer.
When the student's ready, the teacher will appear, right? When you're ready to receive the message, you'll have the awareness.
Yeah. So we got slightly less than 15 minutes, and man, I never have any idea where our conversations
Never.
go. We just start talking, and we talk about all kinds of random things. So thank you for those of you who are still remaining with us. We appreciate you, obviously. What else are you guys working on? I really want this space to be for us to take something back into. We're going to be back on in 2 weeks on a Tuesday, as always. And what can you take from this time and space and implement in your life effective now, such that the next time we're together, you're a little bit more elevated.
Yeah. What do you guys got? We'll wait 30 seconds.
There's a lag. Everything else, how you been doing with your routine? You really been in it?
Yeah, man. Fantastic.
Yeah.
This morning we ran about 15.9 billion miles. But that's a long one.
The cold water cooled you back off.
Oh, that was so great. Yeah.
I found myself. I am not totally practicing what I preach in my sadhana, my morning spiritual practice. This last weekend, I didn't even get into my practice at all. I had the kids, and my sleep routine was kind of not so great, and I was sleeping in later, and by that time the kids are out here going crazy, and I'm just and so I neglected it. But I absolutely feel a dip in my vibe from that.
Yeah, totally. So Saturday and Sunday, I don't normally participate.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't. I take it off and I slip right into my humanness, intentionally by design. Yeah. Now, in doing so, my vibe slips, right?
Yeah.
So if I find that I'm becoming too edgy or snippy with the kids or something, that's my cue to go meditate and take responsibility over myself. Yeah. But really, my Saturday and Sunday is time to just go be. Yeah. Monday through Friday is my morning ritual is my time to prime my state, set an intention, and I'm focused.
Yeah, I love that.
Linda, nothing?
And when I slip into that space, it's obviously a good reminder why I have created the practice in the first place.
Yeah, totally. Because when you're experiencing the beingness of the opposite of a prime state, it's for me, it gives a healthy point of reference on how great it is. Mm-hmm. It maintains its importance.
Yeah, it's the contrast between those.
Yeah, the contrast and those point of references.
Limited Linda? Limiting Linda?
I can
see that to read comments here and engage a bit here.
That's awesome. Writing kids' books. The bad one, yeah, Limited Linda, the one that has all the stories that stop you.
Yeah, limiting Linda. Yep, yeah. Love that. I love that. Good. If the children's book deal, if you're pouring your love into it, and that's the vibration you're maintaining, everything else is going to fall into place. Stick with it. Stay in that thing. What else we got? I'm tired.
Are you?
Yeah. Self-induced. Always is, right?
Yeah, always. Consciously or unconsciously, it's self-induced, yeah.
Yeah, I've been doing wonderful at sabotaging my vibration lately. But I like the contrast. It's
yeah. Well, you know what? It actually is necessary sometimes, Because if we stay in a space too long, it can become just an eventful, monotonous routine. So contrast is important, isn't it? Counterbalance. Yeah. So Linda, I wouldn't recommend that you ignore her. She is there as a teacher. She is there to provide you value. So it's not in ignoring her, it's in saying, good morning, Limited Linda, or good afternoon, whenever she decides to pipe up, and saying, thank you so much for showing up today, and thank you for the reminder that I'm no longer going to go down this path or subscribe to that way of thinking and feeling. Instead, I'm going to switch my focus to the opposite, and I'm going to go feed this. So thank you so much for showing up today to remind me, mind your business, remind me to pay attention to the opposite path that I want to feed and invest.
Yeah, I mean, if we are born into this world, we are automatically worthy of it all. And so in that knowingness, you can greater acknowledge the limitation and let it be on its way, because we know that that's not truth. Truth is an abundance of all things.
Totally. Does anybody have anything else? Anything maybe you're stuck on, struggling with, you'd like some coaching support on? You feel the last 10 minutes here?
It's getting toasting here. These lights are, that light right there is crazy hot.
Yeah. I mean, we could end it early if everyone's good and clean, but we're also committed to be here to support you all, so.
I'm good and clean.
As am I.
Give it a couple more seconds. What else? What's on your agenda for this week? How's branch meetings been going? Good, powerful,
Good,
people
yeah.
showing up?
Oh, so, and my birthday's Friday, so super excited about that. It's not on the milestone yet, but getting close.
You got 39?
39.
Cool.
Yeah. And then next week, Wednesday, leaving to Portland, Oregon for 5 days for the NLP seminar.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, 5 days of NLP.
Yeah.
Full-on immersion.
Yeah.
I'm super excited about that.
It's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's important for us to continue to step out and learn. Yeah, I'm going and sitting a medicinal ceremony this weekend with some men out in the forest, and I know that that's going to be profound. It always is, and I'm really prepared. I've got some wonderful questions that I've been pondering, and I feel like I'm approaching them with an altered state of consciousness that I can usually crack in there and really
Bust it wide open.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm excited for you, man. That sounds really cool.
Yeah, it'll be good.
Yeah, I'm happy. I need someone to kidnap my mother and knock some sense into her. Well, just type in the address. No.
Yeah,
We don't do that anymore.
yeah. I know we've been talking about this, haven't we, Samantha? It's the thing is, it's your attachment to her to being something different is where the tension is. And, again, he that teaches those who do not want to hear is performing an immoral act. And besides, they can't hear it anyways. And so if you really want to create change for your mother, my opinion, based on my own experience, is for you to release the attachment to it. Just be with, but turn that and continue to do your work so that your light is brighter. And perhaps one day it's so inspiring that your mom is like, okay, I give up. What the hell are you doing?
So be the change you desire to see, right? And so right, what Justin was saying, Samantha, we've both gone through this with our mothers. And it's not even necessarily mother, it's someone in your life, right? That there's some resistance to, because they just don't get it. They're just asleep. And it's my resistance to how they're being is what is causing the suffering.
Yeah.
Because suffering is a choice. You're choosing to be in resistance to how she's showing up. And I know this so well because I had this issue with my mom, my ex-wife. They're not the issue. Me not being okay with how they are and not allowing them to be themselves is the issue. Because I'm the only one suffering here.
Yeah.
So can you reframe your relationship to her? Just let her be who she is. You go be the change you desire to see in the world and watch her notice that and watch her say something about your change. And that may be enough to give her permission to do the same.
Yeah. And maybe not. Maybe this is what you chose to take a body for, is to learn how to be with that motherly energy and not be attached to it being a certain way. It's definitely the work that you've got, so keep after it. And yeah, Donna, create a vision around your home economics and put the damn smoke down.
I didn't know you smoked. This is news to me.
Is this a post-COVID habit that was picked up, or is this a kind of a deal?
You know, I smoked a pack a day for 17 years.
Did you really?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, I quit 6 years ago now. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I created such an aversion to it because my parents were both big smokers, and I was just sick of smelling it as a kid. So I think I just went the opposite direction. I was like, "Say those things, stay the hell away from me."
Yeah, hey, that works too. Yeah.
That's good. Well, super good to be with you guys.
Thank you all.
The power is in the community. It is, bring all your stuff. We want to keep doing this work. We love what we're doing. My desire is to see the world open back up and for us to get back into our live events.
Oh, yeah.
I really love those.
Me too.
Yeah,
Me too. I
those
miss
spaces
that.
were good.
This is cool too. So this is what we're doing every other week. There may be a mixture of the two.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're not clear on that vision yet. We just want to get back in front of all of you and feel your energy. Sure. Okay.
You got something on this?
I'm gonna talk with you, Samantha. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, Lacey. All right, Miss Samantha. I want to share with you my experience. So, a couple things that you said there that I want to touch on. You feel like she's trying hard to pull you backwards, and you're struggling with the decision to cut her off completely or let her wreak havoc. Let me ask you a question. Is she powerful enough to pull you into her drama and chaos and stress? And can she wreak havoc on your energy without your permission? So this is where responsible conscious creator comes into place versus victim, unfortunately. And I'm not making you wrong or putting you down. So please understand where I come from is complete love. And what I'm saying is this. With my mom, with my ex-wife, we can put them and call them the same in many regards. Not all, but many. Okay? So here's the deal. She is not doing anything to you. It is how you're interpreting that it is not meeting your expectations and you don't like it. Therefore, I'm in resistance to it. I'm giving it my energy, my power. Which means now that I've lost control over myself because I gave it away, Mom now gets to pull the strings of me, and I'm now the puppet and she's the puppet master. So what people do when they experience this problem, a dynamic, is they want to cut out the problem. Here's the issue with that. The problem is not outside of you. The problem is an internal state that has an issue of what's going on the outside. Because I will guarantee this to you, Samantha. You cut out your mom, and you will have instant relief. Problem solved, cured. The problem is, wherever you go, there you are. You have a flawed model. You're not flawed, but you have a flawed model, a perspective of how to handle things that I'm in resistance to and I don't like. You will recreate another problem, and it'll be someone different, but it's the same as your mom. Because these life lessons keep coming back around until you learn the lesson and transcend from it. Therefore, it's no longer in your awareness because you're above it. So cutting out the problem is never a good solution. It just ensures that another situation, circumstance will come back around to give you another opportunity to transcend. So she's not the problem. It's how you're being with the situation. So don't cut out the problem because then you won't learn. Use this situation with your mother to go to God, to become one with the universe, to understand that there's a beautiful gift here for you to learn and transcend from. This is here as your teacher. Don't cut it out. Don't bury it. Don't suppress it. Face it. Learn to be different with it so that this type of situation never controls you again.
I would add into that, perhaps sit down and create a couple conscious one-liners. I don't know the complete context around what those experiences look like. However, I would say, hey mom, like I really appreciate and respect your opinion. However, that is not the belief that I subscribe to. And so can we just agree to disagree? Can we let go of our need to be right? Because you can either be right or be in harmony. It's a choice.
Yeah.
That is all, folks. Hour 15.
Thank you all.
Love to you all.
Appreciate you being here.
Enjoy your Tuesday.
Go make it a great day.